I am going to call the meeting to order because it's 7:10. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. And what we'll do is we're going to start. The new high school principal, as you all know, is Nick Solomon. And I also asked Rebecca Solomon, who's with the Franklin Park School, to go on, but she has open school night, so I don't know if she can get on. So Nick, I'm going to have you start, and you can make a presentation of how you're doing and what your goals are, and we welcome you aboard.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for having me. Those that I've never met or never met me, I'm Dr. Solomon, principal of Franklin High School. Um, it's been a very unique opening of the school year. Um, every school year brings its own challenges just to make sure the building is ready. We have staffing to teach our students, and making sure that our students feel welcome when they arrive to school for the first time in the new school year. But on top of that, what makes it challenging is the fact that we are living in a world that we're living in a pandemic, right? We're going through a pandemic and going through those challenges like any other school or job industry. We all are adjusting, and I'm proud of our students and staff and administrative staff for navigating through the first, you could say, 2 weeks of school. So relatively, it's been very smooth and from the perspective of the pandemic. So proud of our students for abiding by the rules and expectations we have in place. And there's always room for improvement, but I'm happy thus far. Um, I think where I'm on tonight is to kind of talk about the initiatives that we've um, established as a principal of Franklin High School. You had an opportunity to
I
join
see
me at
Rebecca's
our
on now,
principal.
so if uh,
Oh,
if uh, she wants to interlude because she's got open school night, she can. But go ahead, Nick, go ahead.
yes, no problem, no problem. I think she's just wrapping up, and I'm sure when she's ready, she will tap in. All right. So as I mentioned during my principal meet and greet, also an opportunity to speak live with local papers, the Franklin Report and Advocate. There's many initiatives to focus on in the school year. There's three that are priority. When interviewing and when beginning this role as principal, one of the things that I'm really interested in is post-secondary opportunities for our students. And in the world of education, that's called college and career readiness. It's such a broad avenue because post-secondary could represent four-year institutions, two-year institutions, could represent vocational schools. And at the end of the day, I just want to make sure for every student who comes into Franklin High School graduates, but we also we create opportunity and access for them to pursue their dreams. I do believe every student should pursue something after high school. Not just you can't do anything. You got to do something. We want to make sure they're prepared for that. So, like I said, whether it's a four-year, two-year, or vocational school, we want to make sure they're ready for that. And so we have a large college and career initiative, and Franklin High School has always done a great job of exposing our students to colleges and careers. But I want to make sure we take it one step further in terms of building on some of the areas that state evaluates on. So whether that's creating more CTE opportunities, structured learning opportunities, which is like internships, whether that's establishing more dual enrollment courses, we want to see improvement in those areas to ensure that our students are getting exposed and having opportunities that any of the most prestigious schools may have, as well as supporting our students who may not be, who may be more on a career pathway after high school, and we want to make sure they're prepared with some type of certification. So those are some goals that I have in place that I'm excited to work on starting this year. But I understand some may be short, some may be long-term goals. Um, Moving on to the next initiative is social emotional learning, which is we call SEL. And I think that's important because coming off this 16, 17 month of, virtual to hybrid learning, many of our students and their families have gone through a lot. And I think it's important more than ever to make sure that we're prepared to support our students in the area of social emotional learning. So we're launching a social SEL program this year. So right now we are in planning stages. Then we're going to train our staff, and then ultimately roll it out for our students. And the goal is to get to know our students, and have the students get to know us. That's what, in a nutshell, what SEL is about. Um, and then I think the last thing that I'm really excited about, and some of the work that I like to do, is really dive into data, understanding what our strengths and weaknesses are as a school, understanding um, in the areas of math, ELA, and climate and culture, really looking at that data, creating essentially a strategic plan to support the work that we do at Franklin High School, but let the data drive our work. So we're going to be starting that, launching that at Franklin High School, something I'm familiar with that I've done at Franklin Middle School in previous years. And, we're excited, to getting all that started. So those are three things that I just quickly touched on. College and career readiness, SEL, and establishing a strategic plan, which we call an annual school plan, on a high school level. So that's in a nutshell. I'm sure I can talk forever, but I want to kind of, give a quick overview, and then I know we're doing a little Q&A.
You're welcome.
Are you still there?
Solomon, I was just saying welcome to our meeting tonight.
Oh, thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Good evening, everyone. This is Ms. Solomon, principal of Franklin Park Elementary
Before
School.
we ask any questions, let me call on Rebecca to make a couple of comments, and then we'll take questions. I know she's got open school night tonight, so her time is limited. So Rebecca, you're on, and welcome back to the HRC.
Thank you for having me back at Human Relations Commission. I'm so proud and happy to be here tonight to get another invitation. Good evening, everyone. I'm Rebecca Solomon, the proud principal of Franklin Park Elementary School.
Good evening.
Good evening. As Mr. Rosenthal mentioned, I am in the middle also of back to school night. But right now, my vice principal is actually holding down the fort while I'm able to address you all. So I thank her for that. I'll share quickly some goals that I have for our school this year. And number one is really to maintain a safe, collaborative, and really just consistent school year. As we navigate through COVID-19 for a second year in a row. Just really putting things into place that help keep parents and students and staff alike safe, and also to make them feel comfortable, entering our school building. To ensure academic achievement and academic growth for all. I'm sorry, my automatic light just went off. Excuse me. All right. As well as to create a trusting and caring relationship among administrators, faculty, staff, students, community for supporting a seamless transition of campus leadership and overall school success. And then to foster a professional learning community based on a shared vision of collaboration and mutual respect. So that's really overall for our school community. We do have some individual initiatives regarding math and literacy from the kindergarten to second grade level. And we're focused our efforts on iReady, which is a technological program in which students spend about 40 to 45 minutes on per week in the areas of math and literacy to basically overall increase their skills. We'd like to provide incentive programs where they're able to earn prizes, time at particular events. Last year we did a baking with your principal segment and different dance room and game rooms virtually in which we were able to engage students in, a fun night to celebrate our school year of learning. So those are some of the initiatives that we're working on at Franklin Park, again, for our staff, our building, regarding maintaining safety, and of course, to increase overall math and literacy engagement for our student population. All right, so I'll stop there and just allow for any questions. And of course,
Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. You can unmute yourself. In the meantime, you know that we have two high school students on our commission, Arian Shah and Aline Abera. So if you two want to make any comments about how a new school year is coming, before I ask for any questions, um, uh, you have any comment, Arian?
Yes, of course, Gary. So first of all, I'd like to welcome Mr. Solomon. I am a four-year student of Franklin High School at this point, so it's very exciting to see a new principal come in and do the job you're doing. Um, Gary, may I ask a question as well? I have one for him.
Oh, yes, positively.
Thank you. So Mr. Solomon, obviously you do have a lot of different programs that you've proposed at Franklin. You just mentioned a couple of them. And I remember that beforehand, when you were not principal and Mr. Schmiel was, one thing that he did very hard was make sure that he communicated with students. He even had a small council of students who he would run a lot of his plans by to make sure that they had support within the student body. So what are you doing to communicate with the student body at Franklin and make sure that plans are well received?
Well, thank you for asking that. Definitely have not had a chance to establish our student leadership committee, but that's in the works. I've talked with Mr. Friedman, who is the advisor of student government, and I'm definitely going to have that as well. I think the one thing that I'm going to do that I'm looking forward to is making sure that I actually have students involved with some of our committees with that teachers sit. I would like to have students play a role, not having a student voice after the fact, but while we're sitting at the table making those decisions. So stay tuned as I'm getting acclimated, get everything organized. There will be an opportunity for students to start being invited into our committees. That's my goal, is to make sure they have a student voice at the table while we're discussing it. So, for example, there's going to be an opportunity for students to sit on my master schedule review committee. I'm going to have students sit on the annual school plan committee, as I mentioned. There are going to be students that have opportunity students that sit on our college and career readiness committee. There's a lot of different committees that you may not be aware of right now, where we're actually getting teachers organized. So I'm getting them organized. They just signed up. Next, I'm going to be pulling students, not only from like student government or National Honor Society, but also students who may not be involved with some of those clubs. I want to make sure we have a variety and diverse group of students that represent. So that's the one downside, right? I mean, just coming in, and it's about getting organized and structured. But once that's starting rolling, you'll see that students will be involved in many of the things that we're doing in the building.
Okay, Helene, you have any comment at all?
Yeah. I just want to congratulate Mr. Solomon on his new position. Obviously, being a student at Franklin High School for this is my third year now, and going to the school, I know you've enforced a lot of COVID safety rules, like the luncheon sign-in and stuff, and where students can sign their phones on the barcode, and we can keep track of what do you call it, who've been in contact with who, and to maintain the COVID-19. How do you think your COVID-19 procedures have been working this year? Like, do you think they're effective? Do you think we can add more procedures that could help, more contain COVID-19 within the school?
Well, thank you for mentioning that, and we've tried very hard to think outside the box to really allow our students to be who they are and not try to make it too structured, right? So we do have things in place, and I would say everything that we're doing, we want to get better at. Even with the QR codes, I'm trying to figure out a way to make it even more effective. I think that there's some lunches that are more effective than others, and we got a battle Wi-Fi issue from time to time too. So one thing leads to another thing, and that's my job to kind of solve those problems, right? So looking at always thinking, right? We everything that we do is an open document. So if there's room for improvement, I want to make it. What you may not know is that I do meet with my administrative staff on a weekly basis, and we kind of talk about all those different things to say, hey, how's this going? How's that going? All right, let's make a tweak here. Let's make a tweak there. And I think, we're going to be continuing doing that all year long, right? So again, to answer your question, I'm happy that we have some things in place. Some things are working great, but some things we constantly want to make better, right? And that's the job. I mean, we all are learning this as we're going through it. And I'm excited about what we've done. So, like your students, your peers have been great. And we're going to continue to push forward to make sure we have the safest building we possibly can. There's challenges, right? It's 2,100 students, and we're doing the very best that we can. Everyone's been very cooperative.
Okay, thank you. Do any other commissioners have any questions? If you do, please unmute
Yes,
yourself.
I do, Gary.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Yes, welcome, Mr. Solomon and Rebecca. I do both you guys very much in terms of your educational capabilities. I just want to know that will you continually have some effort in terms of raising the educational values of your alternate school? Or do you have any processes that you continually have students that interest in alternate school?
How you doing there, Mr. Tibbs? I'm assuming you're referring to Road to Success program in Franklin Township Public Schools. That's the alternative program in Franklin. Is that what you're referring to?
Johnny? John?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I
The,
mean, all
um, the one that you used in Manville. I forgot the principal's name that a number of students from the Parkside area was in.
okay. Well, if you just to talk about alternative schooling, that's really not under my jurisdiction. I work with Mr. Wilson, who is the director of school management in
Yeah,
Franklin,
that's
and
him.
yeah, but I I can't speak to the improvement of alternative schooling. I'm not too familiar um, with that because I haven't worked in those settings.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions at all?
Yeah, I do, Gary. So, Dr. Solomon, welcome in your new role, and
Go ahead, Tremenda. Go ahead, Tremenda.
thank you for the update, Dr. Solomon. So, I represent a large employer and also the voice of the industry here. And one of the things we have seen in the last couple of years, one of the things that we do is work closely with colleges and universities in developing uh, our workforce for the future. And one of the challenges that we have consistently seen, at least over the last couple of 3 years, is um, lack of, or at least some shortness in the school life, college life balance, and lack of students staying structured and organized in their school and college lives. So was wondering if there is something that you are doing at the high school level to help students with their school life balance and staying organized and structured, and there is some help that we can provide from the industry.
Wow. Currently, I can't say that we're doing anything on purposefully, to help with students' time management, with schoolwork, club balance, sports balance, right? Outside of, there's, small groups that help certain students that may need, you know, um, you know, time management support. But on a school-wide level, that's definitely an area that we can definitely tap into when we talk about college and career readiness. So what I can do, we actually, like I mentioned, we established a college and career readiness committee, which I will be adding on some students as well. That's something we can add to their box to discuss to say, hey, how can we our students so when they get out to wherever they go, in terms of how to organize, asking that question that could definitely bring that up to
That's a good question, Giovanna.
we could
Does anyone else have any questions? Any commissioners?
I have a follow-up, but if someone has a new question, they can also just ask him.
Hold it. Rebecca, she may have to go because she's got open school night. So, does anyone have any questions for her before I tell her that she can go back to her open school
No, I
night?
don't have any at this time.
Well, I just want to
Pretty
say
much,
thank
yeah.
you all for having me yet again. I know I visited the Human Relations Commission multiple times, so you may have absolutely run out of questions, and that's okay. I'll be around, and Mr. Rosenthal has my email should you have any follow-up questions for me. So it was really nice to see you all tonight, and I'm going to head back to school night, all right?
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Bye-bye. It was nice to see you, Mr. Rosenthal.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Bye, Mr. Tibbs.
Are there any other questions for our new high school principal? You
I
have
have a
something else,
follow-up,
Arian?
Mr.
Go
Solomon.
ahead. Go ahead, Arian. Go ahead.
Yes. So it's been multiple times now that you've mentioned these committee ideas, right? Now, how would these committees operate? Would they be more like focus groups for school policies, or would they act more as kind of active organization groups? For example, would they be more like the Human Relations Commission meeting once a month or so to discuss policy, or would they be more like a club at Franklin that would meet every week to focus on individual things to do as a group?
Yeah, these committees kind of operate more on a monthly basis. I won't say we create policy, right? Policy is not made on a committee level. However, they will ensure that we're carry out, um, you know, goals within the college creators, realm or whatever committee it is. Going back when I just told you about the annual school plan, um, it's really looking at data and to identify areas that we need to improve on, according from our data, right? So whether it's from a math perspective, an English perspective, climate and culture perspective, we look at those different areas that we collect data in, and then as a committee, we will identify what are we doing well, what can we do better, right? And then understanding looking at the data, disaggregating the data, you can really see the root causes. And once you identify the root causes, then you establish a SMART goal, right? Something specific, measurable, attainable, um, realistic, and timely, right? SMART goal. And then you create action steps to meet that goal. So it's not an overnight thing. Right? You meet over time, ongoing, looking at data, having a conversation with your committee or a subcommittee, and understanding how to target. So that's a strategic plan, and it takes time to build that, right? And this is a year, first time doing it, so it really is going to serve as a baseline, right? To really understand where we're at right now. Then you make a plan on top of that to have growth, right? So it's really like an internal audit. So that's really a broad committee, school committee covers a lot of different things. And you have specific things like college readiness,
Okay,
looking at the within that, and then just figuring out a way to grow.
thank you so much, Mr. Principal.
Thank you so much.
Okay, if there's nobody else, I'm gonna thank our new high school principal and tell him that the HRC is always ready and willing and able to help you in any way we can. Uh, as you saw, we have two high school students that are not shy asking questions, and they will can essentially tell us what's happening at the high school. So if there's anything that you want to report to the HRC, you have Arian Shaw and you have Helene Vera, and they're happy to assist you in any way you can. And I want to thank you for your presentation tonight. And please let us know if we can help you in any way. Thanks very much, Principal Solomon.
Oh, you're
you so
welcome. Thanks
much.
for having me. Thanks for having me. Take
All
care.
right, good night.
Take care, Doc. All right,
Take
good
care.
night.
Okay, we're gonna move on now. We're gonna move on. Before we move on, I have to, you all received a copy of the August 25th minutes, and I need a motion to have them okayed from somebody, please.
I motion.
You have to unmute yourself and make the motion, please.
I
I'll make a
motion.
motion.
Yeah, Stan.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Okay, the next is the police report. I see now we have we have Malcolm on now. Captain Sean was on, but he might have left. So I'm gonna ask Malcolm to unmute himself and give us a police report, please.
How you doing? I'm Officer Belvin, for those who don't know me. Sorry I was having a little difficulty getting onto the meeting today. I'm not sure what was going on. But for the police report, I work for the Community Relations Bureau, for those who don't know me, and we've been doing a lot of community things with the youth and also the town. I just finished Franklin Fit. That's a CrossFit program that we host every Wednesday, right on 935 Hamilton Street, right across the street from KFC. We host the Franklin Fit every Wednesday and Mondays now. So if you guys want to add that on the calendar, if you know anybody who wants to work out, have a little healthy lifestyle, Mondays and Wednesdays, it's free. We had Biking with Cops that we did yesterday, so that's every Tuesday. So we have a lot of good programs coming up. In October is Halloween, back to school, so we're interacting with a lot of the high school, middle school, elementary schools, and try to become present. We've been doing bike patrol. I don't know if you guys have seen us. We've been on Hamilton Street all summer, Princeton Highlands. We've been down Kingston, and then also we've been in all of the senior citizens communities. We're just trying to be visible. We're trying to do a different old school type of policing where, you know, we try to build our relationship with the community a lot stronger than what it has been. And also we have a food bank distribution that is October 6th. That's going to be on 60 Millstone Road. And we have that coming up. But right now, COVID has a lot of things on hold. We got a lot of things canceled because of COVID. So I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen in the future with our future events. You have any questions for me?
Does anybody have any questions for our police? If you do, please unmute yourself. Any questions at all?
Not at this time.
Okay. Thank you, Officer Malcolm.
Problem.
Okay, the next thing on our agenda is the youth report, and the youth center hopefully will be opening soon. And we received a report today from Councilwoman Francois and I'm gonna ask, um, Mr. Arian to give that report, please. Arian, go ahead.
Right, all right. Thanks so much, Gary. Sorry about that. Had a moment, an issue with some muting. So we actually have a lot of information on the Youth Center for y'all today. First of all, a brief update on the Youth Center overall. The construction has gone pretty well. It's generally finished, and in fact, we actually have a soft opening coming up. It was due to start very soon, but unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 Delta variant, it was pushed back a few weeks. Additionally, as many of you likely know, the Franklin Day Festival was also canceled. Both of these occurred because of the Delta variant directly, and the soft opening will be continuing starting in October. Actually, in the beginning of October, which means that we have a few weeks until we start off that soft opening. Essentially, what it's going to be is some general tours of the organization groups. Um, we're going to be giving it to the press, a few youth groups, and a general group of outreach centers. And on top of that, we're going to have a lot of planning out in order to kind of have everything ready for the youth center once we have more of a hard opening. Additionally, in terms of who's going to be presenting at the soft opening, we actually have a large group. We have members of the local Township Youth Center and the Youth Council, both of whom are going to be working together to give those tours. And on top of that, we also have the Franklin Township Parks and Rec Department, which is going to be working alongside them to make sure that everything proceeds as planned. There is one potential liability, which is going to be the elevator inspection that's coming up. If that is not completed, there is a chance that we might have to push back further, but it's likely going to be completed in due time. If you give me a moment. Additionally, we also have some other information. We're going to be hiring Bruce Medley's replacement soon. He was a very influential member of the Parks and Rec Department. I'm sure many of you knew him. And we're going to be interviewing some more part-time program coordinators and PT personnel for the Youth Center as well. So in general, a lot of really exciting things happening for the Youth Center. In the coming month, there's going to be a lot of programming that's going to start up. And on top of that, we're doing a ton of outreach to potential groups. Last meeting, I mentioned that the Youth Council was actually told to do some calls to local businesses. I can proudly say that outreach is ramped up. We're meeting with businesses, local youth organizations, and we're even working with other youth councils around the state to make sure that programming is held within the youth center and focused on the youth center to make sure we promote it here in Franklin.
Okay, any questions? To add to that, the HRC will probably receive an invitation for a attendee tour, and Mr. Tibbs, that's October 1st between 6 and 8 o'clock. I'll remind you about that. We should be getting an invitation for an attendee tour, and when we do, Johnny and I will take that tour. So that's October 1st, John, between 6 and 8, okay? Okay, the last thing I have, I want to call on Alex. Is there anything new to report on either the vaccine or the possible booster shot or something?
Yeah, so, hi Gary and everybody. Yes, we have a vaccine as well as COVID test, which is coming up this Sunday. And it's going to be at the middle school. So soon you will get the flyer. That is one thing that I wanted to mention. Then the other thing that for those of you who are interested or you have received the email from the JFK club, we have Governor is coming at 12 o'clock sharp to that event. The event is going to start at 11:30 and will go on till 3 o'clock. This is an annual event, some food and so forth. So if you are on the JFK Club list, you have received the email. If you have not and you are interested, let Gary know and myself know, and we can send you the link. And as long as you are supportive of JFK Club, we welcome you.
Okay, thank you, Alex.
Sure.
Is there anything else now that, that that anyone else has to report?
Gary, may I have a minute?
Go ahead, go, Councilman. Go ahead. Sure, Councilman.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Sorry I was late a little bit. But anyway, we briefly discussed this, Gary and Alex. We thought it would be a good practice to celebrate major functions or of different countries, different cultures, and there's a Diwali coming up in November 6th. So I'm proposing that it may be too late this year to plan anything, but instead the temple at the corner of Dimot and Amwell Road is celebrating Diwali. So I propose that HRC join them and make it a combined event. So they do all the planning and the logistics and everything else, and we kind of join in as an event from the township sponsorship or whatever we want to call it. So I just like to propose that, and I think it's a major celebration for all Indians. It's really non-denominational. Everybody celebrates Diwali in India, so I think it would be a very good celebration.
And Ram,
Thank you.
I will add also that generally speaking, when there's a celebration by any community at large in our Franklin Township, I think HRC should promote it, and
Right.
at least some members of the HRC should be represented in those events to show that we care about different cultures and different communities. And so I fully support that, at least even though we may not sponsor, for example, or we may not plan the event, but they are planning, they are doing all the legwork. We can just go there and support and tell them that, HRC is supporting these events, and we are going to be communicating to our contacts to participate in these kind of events, show unity.
Yeah, so that's a good point, Alex. So I may ask everyone, why don't we all, suggest, different communities, different cultures, different countries, some key celebrations that we must recognize. So we can create a calendar upfront every year, so we know that we are going to be doing some sort of a recognition on those dates.
That's a good idea. Could you send me a short email on that so we can put it all in the minutes? Okay,
Yes.
Ron?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anything else that anyone has to report at all before I ask for our next meeting is on October 27th. We do not have a meeting in November because of Thanksgiving. So our next meeting is October 27th, and after that, December 8th. I do not believe that anyone's terms of office are up this year, so I don't have to ask you if you want to run again, because you hold on. So I don't believe there's anyone that's term is up this year. Venky, by the way, he's in India because on a trip, and he will be contacting us. Willie called. Unfortunately, he was in the hospital, so he couldn't make it tonight. So if there's nothing else at all that anyone has to say, I will entertain a motion.
Gary, I have a question.
Go ahead, Johnny. Go
Gary,
ahead, John.
I have a question.
Go ahead, John. Go ahead, John.
Oh, what did you say?
Unmute
Oh,
yourself.
John.
What did you say, Gary? Right.
We have a question, John? We have a question, John? We have a question, John?
I had a report to give tonight.
Go ahead, John.
Yes. Can you hear me? I had a report to give tonight. You said to wait and hold it until what date?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Because you're breaking up.
I know.
Could you,
I had a report to give tonight, but you told me to hold it until what date?
what report do you have?
For the pool report that you told me to do.
Oh, didn't you give that report last month? Didn't you give that report last month, Johnny? John?
No, you told Edna and Linda to meet me, and she's to get a note report on it? The details of the report? I thought,
That was
Did you meet?
2 months ago. Yes. What we
Did
were
you meet
asked,
Edna?
we were asked to meet with you. It wasn't in the
no.
last meeting and this meeting. But we said we would put it down on paper. So Johnny, is that what you're talking about? That you put things down on paper?
Yeah.
Yes, what I had on paper, yes.
You were going to put your notes down on paper to submit them for the minutes so that we had it documented what you said at the last meeting.
Okay, because as I recall, Johnny, that's what we had discussed.
All I see is a whole lot of suppression.
And Edna had volunteered to help you. So you've got to contact Edna so she can put your report in a report form so we can report it. And that's what we told you last month, is to speak to Edna. Edna will help you with the report. Okay?
She don't need to help me. I already got it done. She don't need to help me. I got it done. They didn't show up for me to return it to you.
Do you send it to anybody?
But okay, I do whatever suppressive way that you want to get done. Whatever way you want to get done, I got it done. And I'll call them and let you give them your notes of my report. How's that?
Okay, okay, very good. Okay. But also send that to Edna because she volunteered to help you. And I believe Linda also told you that she would help you with
Yes,
the
I did.
report.
Yes, I did.
So contact Linda and Edna, and then you could give me the report, okay? Thank you, John. Okay, if there's nothing else, I will accept a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting is October 27th. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you all.
I'll second it.
See you all the 27th. And have a good night. Thank you all.
Good night, folks.